Welcome back. Heavy rainfall can lead to rapid water rises in low-lying areas. Jackson Chastain explains signs of flooding and how it forms. Here's WeatherWise.
Meteorologist Jackson Chastain here with the latest edition of WeatherWise. Today we talk flooding and flooding safety. We do have a lot of rain really coming up in some of these future events, and it's always good to know when there is flooding how best to deal with it. Now, obviously, flooding requires a lot of rainfall, and when you do get a lot of rainfall, especially in areas where things tend to dip down, you get into valleys, you get into floodplains. That's where the water tends to pool. Everything tends to run downhill. So you get lots of rain. The rain runs downhill. It pools in low-lying areas, and that's when you get places like this road here, where it's not necessarily an issue when there's no rain, but when there is rain, it all pools in this area and it covers up that road. And up to 6 inches of water, well, that can sweep a person away. 12 inches of water, that can sweep a car away. And 18 inches of water, that can sweep large vehicles away. And in fact, up to 6 inches of water is enough that it could cause problems for your vehicle if you're driving, in terms of it losing traction with the ground and starting to float around and whatnot. So that's an issue. And it only takes 6 inches of water. And remember, it doesn't have to rain 6 inches for there to be 6 inches of water. So you get a decent amount of water. It pools down into an area that can cause problems. So it's always a good rule of thumb to where if you encounter water of unknown depth in your driving, it's best to just turn around. Otherwise, you could end up in a very life-threatening situation. But it's also good to know what the difference between a warning and a watch is. So when you get a flash flood watch, all that means is that conditions are favorable for flooding to occur. Either they've detected thunderstorms that are producing lots and lots of rain, that are in a situation where they're training or they're dropping lots and lots of rain over the same area in an hour, or they have detected that it's likely to happen in the future, and so they'll issue that watch ahead of time. But the difference between the watch and the warning is that when you get the warning, it's kind of like when you have a cake. Cake has the ingredients. The actual baked cake is the final product. And when you have that, you actually have flooding. That's when you get that flash flood warning. That's when you need to take that very, very seriously, because they can catch you off guard. And if you're not careful, they could do lots and lots of damage. So what are the important tips here? Well, you need to make sure that you know where you live. Do you live in a low-lying area? So number two, do you have insurance for that? Because a lot of people actually don't have flooding insurance and they don't pay attention to these kinds of things. Number three, make sure that you clean any storm drains of loose debris. That includes your gutters. Make sure your gutters are clean. And number four, make sure you have those electronic devices with you in case of emergency. Now, that's all I have for the latest edition of WeatherWise. As always, if you have any questions, I'm here on Facebook, Twitter, or email. But otherwise, you guys have a great one.
WeatherWise is brought to you by 4 County Electric Power Association.